For my regular YouTube audience, you know what you need to do next to get to the information that you want from this video. But for those who are new to my channel, here are some key points to help you work best with the information in this video. Number 1. Timestamps and other important information can be found in the description to this video. Number 2. The dates of the energies that are unfolding in the week ahead are in the introduction section of this video. Number 3. The degrees of current planet placements and their location in signs are also in the introduction section of this video. Number 4. I'm a personal astrologer giving a general astrology reading in this video. For some people it will resonate. For others, it will not this week due to the influence of planets in your own personal horoscope. It may vary from week to week how much my forecast will resonate with you. If you would like a reading with me to explore your own chart further, the link is also in the description for this video. Number 5. I am using the traditional system of whole sign astrology for my analysis in this video. Number 6. By listening to the introduction, it's going to help you know what's in store for you this week. And then you can go to your sun, moon, and rising signs for more information on what to expect specifically. Number 7. I use both Vedic and Western astrology techniques with what is known as the tropical astrology chart, or, for those who aren't aware, the Western astrology chart. Please explore the placement of your Western or tropical astrology sun, moon, and rising signs using the timestamps for this video. Number 8. Haters and hateful comments will be removed from this video. This is a safe space for everyone who visits here, and like a good bouncer at a nightclub would do, I will eject any haters from this platform. And now here's a final couple of tidbits of information for you about how to use this video. Astrology is not designed to scare you. It's designed to give you information so that you know what the good and the challenging energies in the week ahead will be, and you can therefore consciously work with them to the best of your advantage. Remember, knowledge is power. Now there are scammers about, and so if you should receive a message from me on any platform requesting your money for a reading, know that it is a scam, report them immediately. And now settle in and let's see what the astral skies have in store for the week ahead. Well, here we are, my astro lovers, back with another eclipse for this eclipse season. This time, the eclipse is a solar eclipse, and it's occurring on the 3rd of October at 4 a.m. in Australia, and Australian Eastern Standard Time. So that means October the 2nd, it will be occurring for most other parts of the world and places on the globe. Now, this eclipse is occurring at 10 degrees and 3 minutes exact of Libra. You will hear some other astrologers telling you it's happening at 9 degrees. That's because they're not using it exact to the minute, okay? So it's 9, it looks like it's happening at 9 degrees when you're just assessing it by minute alone, by degree alone. However, it's actually happening at 10 degrees and 3 minutes when it is exact, okay? So welcome everybody. Please share this video, can I just encourage you, with other astrology lovers out there in YouTube land or on social media, because true astrologers on YouTube are increasingly being targeted by the algorithm, okay? The algorithm on YouTube, they only want fluffy astrology, and I call it fluffy astrology. It's just light astrology without depth, without instruction, without true astrological and astronomical understanding. So they're only promoting fluffy astrologers on YouTube at the moment, not true, deep, ancient wisdom that is being revealed by a lot of the deep, well-studied astrologers. And so we need your help. We all need your help, the true astrologers here on YouTube, to keep true astrology alive. So please, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Share this video wherever you can. Also hit the bell notification because that helps keep you aware of any updates and what have you. But do this for not just myself, but for all true astrologers out there. This includes Lada Dunchiva, this includes Krusty Atasio, Chris Brennan, Pam Gregory. There are quite a number of us who've been doing astrology here on YouTube for quite some time, and I just encourage you to check out their channels and support them in whatever way you can. We need your support to be able to maintain a presence here on YouTube so that we can keep giving you the regular content that you love and teaching other people how to do and understand and live their lives through the blessing of astrology. Without your support, we can't do that, and the knowledge is lost again and goes underground. So please help us. Thank you for listening to that little introduction. Now, coming up in this video, my friends, so much to talk about. This is a monster video. We're going to be talking about the nature of solar eclipses in general. We're going to be talking about new moon in Libra energy and what it usually brings. We're going to be looking at the chart of this eclipse and all the energies and fixed stars and lunar mansions playing into this eclipse. We're going to be looking at where this eclipse is going to be visible and what that will mean. We're going to be assessing, do you have planets interacting with this eclipse? And if you do, what's that going to mean for you on a very personal level? We're going to be looking at the Saros cycle for this eclipse. And we're going to be looking at, obviously, as I do in every one of my videos here, the effects of the eclipse in this case for each sign. What's going to be happening for your sign, your rising, your sun, your moon sign, and how is this eclipse going to affect your life going forward? Now, my Patreon family members, you'll be getting an extended personal all signs breakdown for this report. And so we're going to go deeper for all signs at the Patreon version of this video. So if you, I don't have time to give you a 5-hour video report here on YouTube, and often videos that big don't get much traction anyway on YouTube. But if you join the Patreon family, the link's in the description below. You can do so for a month or a year or indefinitely, just a couple of days if that's what you want to do. But really, you're going to learn so much and be so richly blessed by joining the Guiding Star family, where we have so much extra astrological teaching and knowledge given every single month. And of course, that's where you're going to get the real juicy bits of this eclipse and how it will be affecting you on a personal level. So let's begin now with a look at the nature of solar eclipses. These are new moon eclipses on steroids, like overzealous new moons, let's say. Now, they usually trigger events that happen either a week either side of the eclipse and up to 6 months afterwards. I often get comments on my eclipse video saying, nothing happened for me today, the day of the eclipse. Well, because the eclipses usually play out a week before or a week after. You'll get some significant event, and even up to 6 months afterwards. And it also depends on how strong the particular eclipse is. It might be active for up to a year to 3 years afterwards, because a stronger eclipse gives more powerful punch over a longer period of time. Now, we've been in an active phase of manifestation for this eclipse since the sun was at 21 degrees of the sign of Virgo, and this happened on the 14th of September, Australian time. And we're going to be in this activation phase until the 21st of October. Now, let me just explain. Traditional astrology says a week either side of the eclipse. The deeper technique gives us more specifics here, and in this case 14th of September to the 21st of October, that's when this particular eclipse is active, using the deeper techniques. I teach all about the deeper techniques of understanding eclipses at my Royal Stars Academy, and that's in the advanced astrology level that's coming out hopefully at the end of the year, maybe early next year. Interestingly, in astronomy, it has been noted by astronomical researchers that just before an eclipse occurs, there's always a drop in the Earth's electromagnetic emissions. So it's obviously affecting us on a scientific level because we are receptors of energy. Human beings receive energy, and that's why the planets impact us. And so if the Earth's electromagnetic emissions drop, then we are recipients of that energy and the change that energy brings. It is believed by some schools of researchers that our universe is quite a magnetic universe, and instead of, the type of energy we're receiving from the planets is potentially electromagnetic energy. That's one school of research going on at the moment that obviously feeds into this idea that as the Earth's electromagnetic emissions drop, we are affected significantly by the eclipse. Now, in mundane astrology is looking at political events and world events and, things that are happening to societies, sometimes natural events, sometimes politically constructed events and so on, but events that affect the masses, world events. In mundane astrology, solar eclipses, which are rarer to see than lunar eclipses are usually visible from up to 50% of the area of the Earth, while solar eclipses, new moon eclipses, are usually visible from a much smaller area of the Earth. We're going to look at where this eclipse will be affecting us in the rest of this video. But in mundane astrology, solar eclipses affect the leadership, celebrities, people in visible positions of influence. Bring it on, I say. We need a bit of a change and a shake-up in that realm of the world. Now, you are also going to notice that people in a position of plutocratic power, that means plutocracies, evil power basically, they tend to cause events to happen, or they push bills through Parliament, always timed around an eclipse. You research every conspiratorial event in history and you will see that it lines up with an eclipse activation period. This is not a coincidence, my friends. It's intentional, I believe, because what eclipses do on a mass level is solidify things into the collective consciousness of humanity. So if they want to affect humanity on a broad level, they will do their activities at the time of an eclipse. And this is why NASA conducts rituals during eclipses. Notice that both the recent assassination attempts of the presidential candidate in America occurred when there was something astrological happening. Mars conjunct Uranus on Algol was the first one, and the recent lunar eclipse was the second one. Who knows? There may be another assassination attempt within the framework of this solar eclipse as well. Now, is this chicken or egg, my friends? Is it the chicken or the egg theory? Were these events intentionally timed to align with the astral energies, or were they a result of the astral energies occurring? As you've probably already guessed, I'm inclined to believe the former for what it's worth, because those in plutocratic power use astrology all the time for everything they do. But let's jump off that topic. I could talk all day on mundane astrology and mundane astrological influences, but here on YouTube, I'm here to be a personal astrologer. So any changes that come with a solar eclipse will be caused from the outside in. So external events will happen that you need to adjust to and adapt to. It's outside of your sphere, the reverse of how a lunar eclipse functions. Some astrological texts indicate that a new moon eclipse is felt stronger by people who were born during the day. They have a day chart where the sun is above the horizon line. And this is because the sun is the more significant indicator in a day chart than a moon chart. And in a new moon eclipse, it is the sun that is the key focal planet, not so much the moon. Because what is actually happening astrologically, and you can see the sun and moon are conjunct here, the moon is moving in front of the sun, blocking and inhibiting the sun's light. That's what this new moon eclipse is. We had a significant one back last April that occurred over the USA. But here we've got the moon in front of the sun. Our vantage point on the earth means that we can't see the sun because the moon moves in front of it. The sun is the thing being eclipsed, the energy that's being eclipsed. In a lunar eclipse, it's the moon that's being eclipsed, and so the moon is the key focal point, okay? So back to my point here, new moon eclipses are usually felt stronger by people born during the day where the sun is the more significant indicator than the moon in the chart. Now, eclipses always mark a major turning point in life usually for us all in some way, but particularly for people who are having triggers by this eclipse to their personal planets and their personal chart. Because the universe is intent on moving us forward into our destiny now. And usually there's no going back from whatever occurs. Whatever events unfold during an eclipse, they come in for good. This energy is about realigning with our purpose and our intent that we came in with when we incarnated. So anything superfluous to our intent and our purpose and our mission in life will be let go of now as a result of the eclipse. Keep that in mind with whatever unfolds. Whatever is happening, for good or bad, is actually for your highest good and designed to take you into your destiny. With that in mind, remember, my friends, to always, I say this in every eclipse video, but always act with kindness and forgiveness, because you might be letting go of somebody, and be kind about that. Or somebody might be letting go of you. Again, all you can control is your ability to respond well and with a high vibration. Be kind, forgive, it's okay. We actually don't owe anyone anything. Neither do they owe us anything other than to be kind to one another. That's what we owe. You know, this includes kindness to ourselves during an eclipse. Be kind to yourself. Honor the self in whatever way, shape or form that needs to unfold for you. That said, my friends, allow in whatever needs to take place in your life. Don't fight it. Go with the flow, because this is an important turning point in your life. A complete change of pace is now at hand. You're turning around 180 degrees if your chart is being triggered by this eclipse. And there can be some, news, some information that comes to you, some big life events that are going to affect you. And they will give you the telltale signs of what is going to unfold over the next 6 months in your life. Solar eclipses tend to create new beginnings and bright new opportunities, especially as this is the last eclipse in the set. We had the lunar eclipse first and the solar eclipse last, which is a certain combination that leads to certain results. I talked about this in last week's video, all about the eclipse gateway period. Check that out if you want to know more about how these two eclipses intertwine with one another to give certain results. But with the solar eclipse, often there'll be a random event that you didn't expect. It is an exciting time of change, which is wonderful. So pay attention to all events, all news, all gossip, all interactions within the eclipse season, because they're going to be very important in some way, shape or another in your life over the next 6 months. Now this eclipse falls with the south node. Here is the south node here, and here is the eclipse. We'll talk about the degrees in just a second. So because it's falling with the south node is about letting go, making space, releasing something out of your life to make way for the new beginning that is heralded by the new moon. So something might be leaving your life. Something might be ending in your life so that a new beginning can take place. That's how this particular type of eclipse works. If this eclipse is falling on your sun placement, which we'll talk about in depth a little later, it's going to be a key year in the course of your life, because this is your birthday. The sun has returned to its natal position, and therefore only allow maybe 1 or 2 degree orbs for that to happen. So you're going to carry an eclipse in your birth chart. So it's going to be with you all year long. The change, the redirectioning, everything I've spoken about is going to be very key in your life for a whole year. Also, if you're a Leo rising, sun or moon person, we can be more affected by this eclipse because the sun, the key planet as I've described in a solar eclipse, rules your sign. So you are likely to be more influenced because of this. Also, eclipses that are happening in the same element as your birth sign can be generally friendly and benevolent to you. In that case, we're looking at air signs. Libra is where the eclipse is occurring. So Gemini and Taurus positions, if you're a rising Gemini or a rising Aquarius, you might be blessed by this eclipse potentially as well. But we'll talk about that further when we break this down for all signs. Let's look now at what a new moon in Libra is really all about. Well, Libra is a sign of give and take. So give and take can be a significant focus of this eclipse. Libra is also one of the signs of deals and trade and contractual agreements, both personal agreements but business agreements as well. So that might be key as a part of this eclipse. Compromise, balance and harmony might be key focal points for this eclipse. That said, this eclipse is with the South Node. We might find that compromise, balance and harmony are missing at the time of this eclipse because the South Node in Libra is depleting the universe, the world, of those beautiful Libran qualities that we value and we treasure. So keep that in mind too. This is the theme here is Libra themes, but the Libra themes might actually be what's missing in the world. Sometimes when we have a new moon in Libra, we can have a restart in our relationships. So maybe our relationships have got a bit rocky or feeling a bit dry, tumbleweed city. And Libra new moon gives us a chance to refresh them and restart them. So what you might be saying goodbye to, with the South Node being the cause of this eclipse, is a stale relationship. And you might be throwing the relationship out, but the staleness, the ho-humness might leave, and you might actually be able to restart a relationship in a healthy, invigorated way as a result of this eclipse. For some people, new relationships can begin, but it's going to mean letting go of an old relationship or an old relationship pattern or an old relationship idea, or maybe you divorced someone 10 years ago and they're still in your heart. And this is saying it's time to let go of that stuff so that the new relationship has the ability to come in. Libra new moons are also about doing things in pairs, coupling up, finding a tennis partner and going and playing some doubles matches. Doing things together is a new moon in Libra energy. Legal matters can also become quite a focus during a new moon in Libra, especially an eclipse. So you might be, if you're dealing with some legalities, or if there's some kind of a legal focus going on in your life, it can be really intensified as a result of this eclipse. Some people might be fighting now for justice and fairness because there is a real desire in Libra to bring back equilibrium, both into the world and into our personal lives. And I must say, we'll talk about this in a second, but Mars is involved in this eclipse, so it may just take a fight for us as a result of the eclipse energies to bring back justice and fairness. And I think that's a worthy fight, to fight for justice, fairness and equality in the world right now. We sure could use it. We sure could use it. Let's now look at the chart of this eclipse. Now, the new moon, I should say, to begin with, that I'm only using 5-degree orbs. I like tight orbs so you get significant effects. The wider the orb, the lessening of the effect. So we don't bother with anything outside of 5-degree orbs, really, in my chart analysis. This new moon is occurring within 4 degrees of the node. So here is the node. At 6 degrees of, I won't write it on the board, but it's at 6 degrees of Libra. And this eclipse is taking place, as we said in the beginning, at 10 degrees of Libra. So that is a very close conjunction, if you like, of the node with the eclipse, making this a very strong new moon solar eclipse. It will have a more profound effect than the recent lunar eclipse, which was not as strong as this. Okay, so what's going on in the chart of this eclipse? Well, as you can see, the first thing is we've got a conjunction here with Mercury. This is not a cazimi conjunction. Mercury is a little way, a couple of degrees off the eclipse, but still close enough within that 5-degree orb to be affecting the eclipse. Mercury is combust. It is invisible, not visible in the sky. So we lose the things that Mercury represents as a part of this eclipse. So this can mean that for some people, some short distance travel might be made more difficult, or there's some obstacles to overcome. If you need to do some short trips, weekends away, maybe a trip for work, that kind of thing might be fraught with some difficulty in and around this eclipse. Mental alertness, quick thinking, adaptability, and curiosity are positive qualities of Mercury, and they may be lacking now. lacking in our leadership, especially as this eclipse is a solar eclipse. We're just, it's probably, we've seen plenty of indications, certainly in politics here in Australia, of our leaders, and I know it's happening in the rest of the world too, who do not have quick thinking or mental alertness. That's certainly the case. It's going to be even more exacerbated now under this eclipse. Yikes. Now, some of us might be getting some unexpected news. There might be upheavals with social media. There might be internet disruptions with this eclipse because of the status of Mercury involved with this eclipse. So back things up, have back up your work on your computer, back up your social media accounts if you need to do that, save your photos off your social media, do all that sort of stuff, because there could be a bit of a rocky ride with in some places in the world that have to do with that. It is a busy time though, this eclipse. There might be a lot of appointments that you have to keep, a lot of meetings, a lot of moving about and decisions to make. But these things may not go to plan or run smoothly because Mercury is combust with the eclipse. What about Mars? Mars is actually feeding into this eclipse through a really rather nasty square aspect, a 90-degree aspect here coming from Cancer. And on that topic, Mars is going to be in Cancer for roughly 8 months. I will be talking about Mars retrograding in Cancer in a couple of months' time here on YouTube, so stay subscribed and tuned in for that particular video that will come in time. But Mars is influencing this eclipse from the cardinal sign of Cancer, and this means that authority figures or men in general, Mars is a masculine energy, will be looking to assert their power during this eclipse energy, and that can lead to ego conflicts. Okay, we see this already happening in high places. It's already going on. Okay, that's enough on that topic. I won't go into too much about that, but there can be irritability and impatience everywhere. You're driving down the street to work just like you always do, and somebody cuts you off in traffic and they're honking you and they're giving you the bird. People are more irritable and impatient. You might be more irritable and impatient. So do be careful in those high stress situations where that can come bubbling out. We are more reactive, we are more aggressive when there is a square to an eclipse by Mars. Square aspects are difficult aspects. They're feeling like we're restricted and blocked and we want to burst out. And this can mean that we engage in some sort of reckless and impulsive behavior. Of course, that is not good considering the state of the world at the moment. Reckless decision making by our leaders could lead to all sorts of trouble. So apply that to your own personal life as well. Reckless and impulsive decision making in your own life might not result in good outcomes for yourself. Some of us might be forced to defend something that's very important to us as a result of this eclipse. We might be defending our home. We might be, because Mars is in Cancer, home. We might be defending our past, our traditions, our heritage, our roots, our lineage that mean something to us, that we stand on. My friends, it is worth fighting for those things. I think about the Constitution of America. It is fantastic. What a great country to have a constitution like that. My friends, this eclipse might lead you American people watching this to have to fight for and defend your Constitution. We might be fighting on a personal level for our comfort, might be fighting to be able to achieve our goals and desires now too. We might be defending our goals, defending our desires, defending our right to have comfortable, healthy lives and livelihoods. Those things are worth fighting for, my friends. Don't be afraid to step up and take a stand. It may be required of us. And of course, it required of us not just on the eclipse. If you're listening to this, if you just tuned in at this point in the video, it's likely to be playing out for another 6 months to a year because of the strength of this solar eclipse, which we talked about in the intro, earlier in this intro. Can I just encourage you though, use the Mars in Cancer energy of defense. Don't initiate fights because you will come off second best with a Mars square here. Seek peace wherever you can. like so many countries in the world are trying to do right now in the face of the schoolyard bully. Seek peace where you can. Don't be an initiator. Be a defender of your rights, not an initiator of fights. Mars in a square to this eclipse can cause a buildup of anger, resentment, and even sexual frustration that can happen within us. Now, what we should do with that energy is direct it into more controlled physical activities like Tai Chi, yoga, Pilates, Kung Fu, other martial arts. You should use your muscles now for non-competitive endeavors if you can. This is helpful to mitigate this energy, Put some exertion on your body, not stress on your body, but exert your muscles. Take a jog, go for a swim or a bike ride, do some hard manual labor like digging in the garden. These are great ideas, especially if you do them alone. Yes, a Libra moon is all about teaming up, Libra new moon. But remember, the South Node is with Libra. You might actually be better off avoiding the teaming up and going solo with a square from Mars happening. That's about it for the planets interacting with this eclipse. Some people are saying, Jupiter is interacting. Jupiter's too far away. It's not within orb. If you're using Vedic whole sign aspects, then yes, Jupiter is holding space for this eclipse by a full Vedic aspect to the eclipse. That can be good. That can hold space. That can keep some benevolence present in this eclipse and good outcomes and high morals and ethics that can really balance this out. And so I hope that is the case, but usually as you know, I only use 5-degree orbs, and in that instance Jupiter is out of the orb. Now the ruler of this eclipse is Venus, and here is Venus located in the second house from the eclipse. So this is going to have an impact on what we experience from this eclipse as well. Venus does rule wealth and prosperity. It's one of those planets. But our self-worth might be transforming as a result of this eclipse. What we set great store by, what we value, might be changing now. Where we put our sense of value might be going through some sort of alteration. Maybe we've always, valued having a spacious home. Maybe this eclipse happens and we realize it's too big for us to manage anymore and we need to downsize. So how we value and what we value might change through something that happens as a result of this eclipse. Financial matters might arise. This could be connected to financial growth for some people for whom this is triggered in the right way. It could be financial wobbles for other people who are triggered in not such a helpful way by this eclipse. The second house influence of the ruler of this eclipse does speak to developing more self-sufficiency and sustainability. These topics might become important on the planet right now. There could also be quite a focus on the defense, Mars, and protection, Jupiter, of the natural world, Venus energy, looking after our environments, protecting our environments rather than destroying them. I'm not going to go into a great tirade about how that's happening in Australia and America and Europe, but all you've got to do is look around and see the wind farms to know something's not quite right with our protection of the natural world. There might be Venus influencing this eclipse, might be an emphasis now for you personally on saving, keeping, maintaining, or storing something as a result of this eclipse. This could be saving money. This could be preserving fruits in jars in your pantry. It could be maintaining something of value to you. It could be keeping records. Any of those key words might be quite important to do with this solar eclipse in some way. Okay, so that's really the chart, but also I want to say that no planets are out of bounds. I'm so pleased about this. We can catch our breath. Now, because this is a strong eclipse, it can bring extreme results because this is a powerful energy close to the node. But fortunately, the moon isn't out of bounds for this set of eclipses, and neither are any other planets, which means things are going to be, in a sense, within manageable capacity. we've got this basically, guys. We can handle what the universe brings us now under this eclipse energy. If we had an out of bounds planet, things might just go wildly beyond our control. Phew, lucky that we don't have any out of bounds planets for this eclipse. Now, there is a fixed star in a conjunction with this eclipse, so I'll pop this in here just to remind you that there is a fixed star active with this eclipse. The fixed star is Vinder Matrix. Vinder Matrix is located at 9 degrees of Libra, and with fixed stars we only use a really tight orb of no more than 2 degrees. So definitely this is conjunct with the fixed star Vinder Matrix, and Vinder Matrix will be playing into the eclipse. Vinder Matrix is a star that can cause us to worry unnecessarily, and too much worry can lead to depression. So there's also an especial fear with this combination of not being popular, of not being accepted, a fear of poverty, a fear of failure. So watch your thought patterns under this eclipse energy for the week before and the week after. Have some remedies for detrimental thinking at hand. Maybe going for a walk in the sunshine helps you with your mental health. Maybe watching an uplifting film helps you with your mental health. Know in advance what helps you to have a change in mental direction for the positive, and maybe keep a list on the fridge of what you can do, so that when you find yourself going into fear and worry and depression, you're like, right, there's that list on the fridge. I'm going to get that film on and settle down with a cup of tea and watch that movie. Do what you need to do to take care of your mental health under this eclipse because of the conjunction with Vinder Matrix. Some people might experience trouble in business, especially with creditors, as a result of Vinder Matrix influence. However, there's no need to fear that. It's all about putting one foot in front of the other and persevering. With effort, you can succeed and rise above any blockages in business. We talked about the fact that there are no out-of-bounds planets here. You've got this. Just keep steady pace, working through any issues that arise, my friends. Now, there might be some incidents of great propaganda and public lies that happen as a result of this eclipse conjunct Vinder Matrix. Be aware of that. Either don't watch the news. I just on a side, I know they changed about 10 years ago or so, they changed the definition of news in Australia on the television, what do they call, bill or whatever, in Parliament. They changed it from news being information for the people to entertainment for the people. That shifted everything. That means they can tell you whatever they want to, and it's entertainment. They can lie to you, and it's only entertainment, not the truth. So be careful if you're watching news and current affairs programs in Australia. I'm not sure about the rest of the world with that. But when it's conjunct with Vinder Matrix, you're going to get some big lies and big propaganda coming out as a result of this eclipse, my friends. You might notice that either yourself or the people around you are exhibiting like an obsession to get ahead. There's this inner drive for recognition and success. Vinder Matrix can trigger that in some people as well. It can make us impulsive. It can make us indiscreet. And that often leads to some sort of personal embarrassment. So think twice before you undertake certain actions or do certain things. What are the consequences potentially with your actions, so that you can avoid embarrassment in public embarrassment. And when a planet energizes this particular degree where Vinder Matrix lies, in this case the eclipse is energizing this point, there might be some fears that come up of losing your partner. This star is known as the widow maker in ancient law. Don't buy into this, my friends. It's a mental construct, and the loss of a partner will be because of the result of the worrying nature of this star. It's, your thoughts create your reality. You're not going to be a widow, but your mental, tape playing can bring it about. It's a mental construct. I encourage you, if you start thinking, I'm going to lose my partner, detach, observe your thoughts objectively. Where do they come from? Why am I thinking this way? What insecurities in me are causing these thoughts to come up? If you do some self-analysis like that, then you can get some clarity around such thoughts and you can transmute them and avoid them having a negative impact in your life. What you can do is speak to your fears and insecurities. Be kindly towards yourself about those thoughts. Tell yourself that you see your fears, you see those insecurities. Tell yourself it's actually okay to have fears and insecurities. Believe me, my friends, there's so much relief in non-judgment of the self that often the fears and insecurities go away. Oh, it's okay. Oh, okay, well then I'm gone, you know. So if you can accept that you feel fear and insecurity, it won't be long before the fears and insecurities disappear. Tell yourself you see those insecurities and that it's okay, but you're now moving beyond those insecurities. Thank those insecurities for highlighting certain things that need work within you, and go about your daily life. Thank those fears and insecurities for their guidance and let them go. That would be my encouragement to work with the fixed star Vinder Matrix, which is a bit of a heavy-handed influence upon this eclipse. This is also taking place in the 15th lunar mansion, which is known as Al-Ghafur, which means the covering. Now, this can cause there to be some drive, some ambition that combines with flexibility when there's a lunar eclipse taking place in this lunar mansion. There's an energy of independence and a desire to break boundaries. You might set yourself an ambitious target that requires a lot of hard work, but it's ultimately going to be very rewarding. Leadership opportunities can arise as a result of an eclipse in this particular lunar mansion, but remember to collaborate towards mutual goals. Remember, it is in the sign of Libra in tropical astrology after all. And I'm using the Arabic lunar mansions, not the Vedic nakshatras. Now, the eclipse itself, well, the moon becomes dark for the 3 days of an eclipse. It's represented in mythological symbology. I'm particularly familiar with biblical symbology. Jesus in the tomb, Jonah in the whale. 3 days. And it's a time for becoming introspective during this 3 days, when the moon is no longer in the sky during the new moon phase. We become introspective. We're weighing up our inner world. And this means assessing how we feel at the very core of our being. No more hiding in the basement. No more hiding our weaknesses or our struggles. No more hiding our darkness. We really want to bring those things out. And often they'll be revealed to us, our darknesses, our weaknesses. We've already talked about the Vinder Matrix insecurities, but these things are coming up now and being exposed so that we can transform them. And certainly once the moon becomes visible again after the new moon period, that 3-day period, when the moon is then seen again in the sky, we can see some transmuting happening within us and some changes happening within us for our blessing and greater good. Then we have the Saros cycle. Now, this particular Saros series, it's a solar Saros series, and in a solar Saros series, we have a family of eclipses that are usually around 1400 years long, and this cycle of eclipses begin at either the North or the South Pole. So this solar eclipse family, Saros family, began on the 1st of April 1718, and it's going to finish on the 30th of April 2962. So we're really only just getting started with this series of eclipses, which is 8 south. This series of eclipses repeats every 18 years. Not every 19 years, that's the Metonic cycle, which is something different. So every 18 years is the repeat of this same 8 south cycle, Saros cycle, and it carries the energies of the initial eclipse chart. So that first eclipse in this series is influential for the whole 1400 year cycle of this family of eclipses. Saros cycle's very fascinating component of astrology. What did this initial eclipse birth chart have about it that was interesting and that may be playing out now in our lives? Well, it was a chart where there was an indication of some sort of ending, some separation, some loss, some parting, some conclusions. So we get an extra emphasis on those topics and those themes as a result of this eclipse. Something is finishing up as a result of this eclipse, and we're usually sorry to see it going now. It's not ending with a yeehaw, it's ending with a where's my hanky, I need to have a little cry. Also with this Saros cycle, I would encourage you not to push yourself too hard physically, because this eclipse can see us a bit prone to some kind of physical strain and exhaustion. So if you're going to utilize that Mars muscular energy, go gentle at it. You know, the Tai Chi is fine. That sort of thing is good. But, you know, running, a 10-mile marathon is perhaps not a wise idea. Now we're going to cut to a little example from one of my favorite websites, Time and Date, looking at the path of this particular solar eclipse. So this is the path of the solar eclipse. As you can see, there'll be some portions of New Zealand that will see a minuscule amount. And of course, we have areas in Peru and Bolivia and Brazil that will see a minuscule amount. But the closer you get to that red line, the more intensely you'll be able to see, the more fully you'll be able to see this solar eclipse. And of course, it's crossing through a large portion of the Pacific and then down sweeping through Chile and Argentina. Here is another version looking at the globe. So this eclipse is not actually affecting many countries other than Chile and Argentina, because they are in the actual path of the eclipse. As you can see, the majority of the world will not have access to visualize this eclipse. And so unlike the last solar eclipse that occurred in April, where most of the United States was able to visualize at least a portion of the solar eclipse, this time we only have the Pacific Ocean and the islands in the Pacific Ocean and Chile and Argentina. And this is what the eclipse will look like if you're in Chile and Argentina and you see the full effect. The moon will cross over the sun, and we will have almost a total solar eclipse. My friends, do you have key planets around 10 degrees of Libra interacting with this eclipse? They're going to be activated now. And this new moon energy is going to cause some fruition for people who've got planets at 10 degrees of Libra. You could probably give about maybe 3 to 5 degree orb either side. It's going to cause the fruition of something that you may have planted previously in your life. Maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe 6 months ago, maybe a year ago, or because it's an eclipse, sometimes it can be something that you planted in your life 18 years ago that you are repeating and bringing forth now. So what were you doing 18 years ago? In fact, everyone can consider this, whether you've got planets here or not. What were you doing 18 years ago when we last had this set of eclipses occurring? I think it was 2006. So what was key in your life? What events were unfolding that you remember distinctly from that time? Because that is where you might be seeing a repeat of the energy in some way. Now, for this eclipse energy, you'll need to, as I said, have a planet or an important point like your ascendant or your midheaven or something within 2 degrees of 10 degrees, 2 to 5 degrees of 10 degrees of Libra. Sometimes we can consider squaring, trining, or opposing 10 degrees of Libra too, but the orb must be very tight for the true effect to be felt. Now, this section of analysis that I'm going to jump into is exclusively for my Patreon family. You can join the Patreon family through the link in the description below. So if you have key planets involved in this eclipse, I would love to see you there at the Patreon family. And now it's the time you've all been waiting for, our chance to look through the all signs breakdown and see how this eclipse is going to be bearing out for everyone. So let's begin with Libra. Libra is where we're looking at first. The eclipse is falling, surprise, surprise, in your first house, Libra. This is where you might find the effects playing out for 6 months. But it's also likely that you'll experience something notable within 3 weeks' time because of this eclipse on the 2nd or 3rd of October, depending where you are in the world. What is happening here is that you might find, Libra, one of the first things we always notice when there's an eclipse in our first house is that our relationships might be going through a change. Maybe a relationship is ending, maybe a relationship is starting, but certainly we can find that a relationship will be up-leveling. And, if it's not cutting the mustard anymore, we are improving it somehow and shifting the energy around so that it's better for us and more aligned with our soul's purpose for incarnation this lifetime. Some single Librans might find that a relationship could come in now, especially if this is happening on your ascendant. That is more likely. You obviously need other indicators unfolding at the same time in your personal chart, but this is a big one. This can really, really help. We might get some sort of inner guidance or guidance from our higher self about our appearance, or we might be changing our appearance in some way. We might be starting a new beginning cycle with our appearance. We might be getting rid of one way we've dressed or our hairstyle that we've had. We might even be changing our physical body in some way to start a whole new cycle. More energy. As I spoke about in last week's video on the Eclipse Gateway, we might be putting more energy into this new particular cycle of the eclipse is bringing more energy with our physical appearance and with our health, with our well-being. So there really, as I mentioned in the introduction to this video, we have a desire to break some boundaries with this eclipse. And you might be breaking boundaries and restrictions and limitations that you might have felt on your body, on your physical self. So, maybe you felt like you're, tired and your muscles are heavy, and if you try and go for a run, you're dragging your legs. This eclipse can bring about more vitality, more enthusiasm, more buoyancy that gets you out there actually being able to jog around that oval a few times every evening. It can break that boundary of limitation and restriction that you might have been feeling physically in your body in some way. It can break a boundary with regard to your image and the way you're presenting yourself to the world, your physical appearance, your aura, your energy. So maybe you've been struggling with, the gray hairs coming through or the wrinkles are getting more. You might break through a boundary and, maybe you go see a dermatologist who gives you a new skincare routine as a result of this eclipse. Boom, you break that boundary of, aging with difficulty and into aging well, for example. So changes in appearance, changes in how you show up in the world is really something that this eclipse can bring about. You might find also, Libra, that you are finding new ways to survive and thrive in the world. First house is our initiations, and there can certainly be, as a result of this eclipse, some sudden changes that lead you to establish a new entrepreneurial endeavor, or maybe even establish a diversity of entrepreneurial approaches. For example, I run my own business. I might be putting in some new stream of income into my entrepreneurial endeavor as a result of the inspiration of this eclipse. And remember, I spoke in the introduction about the fact that this is an energy, this eclipse carries the energy of being ambitious and needing to work hard for that reward to come. And I feel for you Librans that it's going to be connected to some sort of entrepreneurial energy, some sort of entrepreneurial activity. Now, this, generally speaking, an eclipse in our first house can be quite a healing energy, can be quite a healing placement, but something is ending as a result of this eclipse and we are parting from something. This loss is going to help us establish something new, and it might feel sad to begin with, but ultimately keep this in mind. Whatever is ending and leaving your life now, Libra, it is for your ultimate healing, your ultimate destiny, your ultimate good. A solar eclipse here can actually impact your level of popularity as well. You might be worrying because of the influence of Vinder Matrix that you won't be seen, you won't be heard, that your popularity will suffer. You might have a worry about, failure and a fear of failure in some way. But I want to just encourage you, you don't have to go down that road, because this is an energy for increase in popularity, increase in recognition, increase in, or a new beginning at the very least, in your recognition in the world. And you might break boundaries with regards to how much you are seen and noticed in the world. You might be, because this is an action house, the first house is an action house, you might be taking some new creative initiative in life, a new direction, a new creative approach. Space is opening up now for you to move ahead in some realm of life regarding, I feel, your entrepreneurial activities, but also to move ahead regarding your ability to shine in the world, your ability to even be present. So a new opportunity might present itself. Now, do be careful because of the square from, not the sun, the square from Mars to the sun here. You might be feeling very personally a bit reckless, a bit aggressive, a bit reactive. And certainly I felt that way as I was putting this video together, which is why you probably noticed in the introduction, I did jump on my little soapbox a little bit, as I want to do sometimes. We can get defensive, we can get protective, we can get frustrated and angry at the way things are. So just remember to keep some restraint on that. I'm not saying don't be defensive, don't be proactive. I'm saying do it with a good measured dose of Libran balance and harmony. You know, if you have to stand up and say your piece, if you have to put yourself out there in some way, if you have to initiate something, do it with the grace and the dignity that you Librans are so well known for. Now, financial matters, we talked about this. Financial matters can become important because the ruler of the chart, Venus, is located in the second house. So there might be some effect of finances on the, coming from this eclipse. It could mean great financial growth. It could mean some sort of financial windfall, but more than likely it's probably connected to some sort of self-sufficiency regarding money or resources. You might be finding new ways to keep, to store, to accumulate your resources, your money now that's going to really pay off for you over the coming 6 months. So I just encourage you, Librans, perhaps start a rainy day bank account in preparation for what might unfold over the next 6 months of this eclipse. Have that rainy day bank account, put some money aside, act with wisdom around finances and resources because of the nature of the ruler of this planet, this eclipse, Venus, being in the second house here. And just shore yourself up in some way regarding that. Now, my friends, for full details about your sign, Libra, rising, sun or moon, you can get the entire report at the Patreon family. I go into much more extensive detail. So the link is in the description below, Libra. And if you go there, sign up, you're going to get so much more about what this eclipse will be doing in your life. And for my Patreon family members who are watching, it is now time for us to go in deeper. Moving along, we now have Virgo rising, Virgo sun, Virgo moon, which means the eclipse is falling in the second house. This eclipse will be active for the next 6 months, but you're more likely to experience something notable within 3 weeks, my Virgo friends. This is happening on the 2nd or 3rd of October, depending where you are in the world, at 10 degrees of Libra, your second house. So you might experience a change in your value system as a result of this eclipse. Maybe your worries and fears, because this is conjunct Vinder Matrix, and your worries about the future might cause you to redirect your value system. What you treasure might change because you're so worried. Financial matters can become very important as a result of this eclipse as well, which might mean, there might be some upheavals, some wobbles with finances that cause you to want to hang on to things. You might be establishing, and I encourage you to do so, Virgo, maybe a rainy day bank account, save your money because you might need it over the next 6 months perhaps. You might find that financial matters are causing frustration. There's an energy of Mars on this eclipse that could see you being very angry or frustrated because you keep having to pay this bill, or maybe someone didn't pay the bill and they said they were going to, and there's a loss of money involved there because the bill wasn't paid on time. There can be some frustration and anger regarding some sort of financial situation or financial matter. Do be very careful, Virgo, about being too reckless with regard to where you make an investment. You've got to do your due diligence. Don't just rush into something because you're worried, because you're full of fear. not a healthy way to approach things. The more that you can bring a healthy energy around your money and your resources, the better results that you can gain in life. So don't be reckless. Don't be aggressive and reactive about how you're using your money or where you're investing your money as a result of this eclipse. Remember, if you're impulsive, as I said in the introduction to this video, it can lead to a state of embarrassment, and this would play out in your financial realm. So too much impulsiveness with money, with resources, can lead you to being ultimately a bit humiliated or embarrassed, and we don't want that to happen. But one of the good things that this eclipse can bring about is a desire to break boundaries. You know, maybe you've been earning at a certain level for so long now, and you're like, I'm sick of this brass ceiling that I can't seem to punch through in terms of what resources I have, my financial situation. Now, finances are something that tends to grow over time. You know, we can expect we might start out in life when we're 20 expecting to have, a mansion on a hilltop. But for most of us, that's not how it works. Usually that mansion on a hilltop, if it comes at any stage in life, will come later. So don't beat yourself up if you're 20 and you haven't acquired that, Bentley yet, or whatever it is that is important to you. But there is this energy of wanting to break financial boundaries and barriers. Keep it realistic though. This eclipse can help you to break those barriers, can sort of punch through that brass ceiling to help you earn more. Now that might be because you decide you're going to get more ambitious and you maybe start a side hustle or start investing your money in well-researched areas as a result of what unfolds during this eclipse. You might, if you develop these ambitions, just know that through time and diligence and hard work, you can achieve, and it can be rewarding. So use this eclipse energy to research, to look at new options available for how to invest your money, how you can go about breaking sort of financial boundaries in your life so that you can have a more materially rewarding experience. I would also say, because this is an energy, this eclipse is all about something ending, something separating, something parting, but the loss is here to help you establish something new. I do feel that you might be, as I spoke about earlier, losing something you valued so that you can direct your values into something else. But it could also mean that there's a turning point with the financial situation that, maybe there's an energy of ending one financial circumstance that you've been in, you're separating from it, you're leaving it behind in order to establish a new financial situation. So I'm hoping and prayerful that means a new financial opportunity that comes your way, a chance to get out of debt, a chance to break through that boundary of restriction, because some financial way of existing is ending for you. If you've been homeless, Virgo, it's my prayer that you find a home now as a result of this eclipse. If you've been without a job, it's my prayer that you find a job that can help you survive and thrive in the world as a result of this eclipse. If you haven't had enough money to put food on the table, it's my prayer that this eclipse shifts that energy and changes that for you too. Because the second house is about how we survive and thrive in the world. It's the second house. It sits under the first house of the body in the house of our resources. It's the house of our resources that help our body survive and thrive. So it's my prayer, and I believe that this eclipse has the power to turn around any very negative financial resource-based situations in life that can take you forward in the future. But you've got to keep your eyes peeled for the opportunities as they present themselves. Trust your intuition as well regarding what feels safe and secure to you now. Is this job going to feel solid for me for the long term? Listen to your heart. You'll know. Is it going to provide a sustained, reliable level of employment for me to create a secure, stable life from? So, you might be starting something like a new job or a new project or a side hustle or something so that you can become stable and secure and safe going forward into the future, because second house has to do with stability, security, and safety in that regard. So quite a quite an interesting energy that's playing out for you here, my beautiful Virgo friends. Now, if you would like to know more about what this combination of energies will be doing as a result of this eclipse, then I'd encourage you to join me at the Patreon family. Links in the description below to get the full details for your sign, Virgo. And for my Patreon family members who are watching this, well, guys, it's time to go in deeper. Thank you, Virgo. Lovely Leo. If you are a Leo rising, sun or moon person, then this eclipse in Libra is taking place in your third house. And this eclipse is likely to be felt for the next 6 months, but you are most likely to experience something notable within 3 weeks of this eclipse. This eclipse is occurring on the 2nd or the 3rd of October, depending where you are in the world, at 10 degrees of Libra, your third house. Now, this is an energy for our Leos that can bring big changes in your point of view or your mental perspective. This is the house of the mind. And I have to say that with everything I discussed in the intro to this video, you might get a more aggressive mental state or a defensive mental state, a protective mental state. Your mind might be, because of the square from Mars, very much all about, I have to save, and I have to become self-sufficient, and I'm going to be, if I don't do this, I'm going to be in real trouble, and I have to defend my point of view, and I've got to speak up, and you might be sort of reckless and aggressive in speaking up and sharing your truth or something like that, and that can end up not going very well for you. So be careful of that sort of thing, that hard aspect from Mars to your mental perspective. And of course, the third house is about our speaking up, sharing our truth and sharing information. Again, don't be too reckless with that. You'll notice in the intro to this video, I certainly did share a few things that I would not usually share. That's certainly coming from the Mars square aspect, I feel, with this, just wanting to share my truth, wanting to protect what I think is valuable in our culture and our society. Also a frustrated, angry kind of feeling present as well. I'm a Leo sun, so hence that is playing out for me even in this video. But be very careful about how you go about that. You might be experiencing a lot of mental concern, worry and fear, I feel, that could be present, because this is the third house of the mind. And also, Leo, this energy is all about worries and fears because the eclipse is conjunct the fixed star Vinder Matrix. So if you find this to be the case and you're worrying and you're afraid for the future, have some strategies up your sleeve, have some resources that you can lean on that can help ease the mental overactiveness, the mental monkey mind. Now, you're also going to want to break some boundaries with this eclipse as well. And that might be boundaries regarding a small business. Maybe your small business has been struggling. This is the house of the money we make from our own talents and abilities, and that's why it's connected to small businesses where you've got a skill that you want to use for other people. And there might be some blockage there, some restriction that you're trying to push through. And this energy of the eclipse is going to lead you to sort of want to make a big change. And I'll just say that if this is the case and you're feeling this blockage with a small business or with a skill or a talent that you want to develop, but you're feeling is limited, this is an energy of being ambitious, and where hard work can ultimately be rewarding. But I would suggest that the hard work will need to be applied for the next 6 months. So Leo, if you're feeling the desire to break those boundaries, be prepared to work hard, to put the effort in, to make a change over the next 6 months, and you will see the results. You will see the rewards. Now, another thing is, Leo, that with this energy conjunct the South Node, the eclipse conjunct the South Node, something is ending, separating, parting. And that could be that you are moving away from the neighborhood that you've always lived in, or have lived in for a substantial period of time. This is our immediate environment. So there might be an ending, there might be a separating, there might be a parting that happens in that regard over the next 6 months to a year of this eclipse playing out. You might be ending a relationship with a brother, a neighbor, a sister, a work colleague even as well, because this is the house of those people in our lives, particularly younger brothers or sisters, not older brothers or sisters. So there could be a shift in the nature of a relationship. There might be a parting of the ways. There might be a separating that happens, and not necessarily going to feel good either, Leo. But this is an energy. The Saros cycle speaks to it being a sad ending, but it is an ending that's going to open up space for a whole new approach, a whole new direction. Now, if you are leaving your environment that you live in to go live somewhere else, yes, it might be sad to leave your friends and your family in that realm, but a whole new lot of friends and family will be likely to emerge and come into your life. Maybe not literal family, but people who feel like family will come your way. So the change might feel sad, but ultimately it's to take you further into your destiny and purpose for life. Now, this is a house of our intuitive hunches and psychic downloads, because it's considered to be in ancient times. It was the natural house of the moon and an indicator of messages that come from the gods. So it's possible, Leo, that your intuition is going to be right on point with this eclipse, and you should trust your hunches. You should trust your downloads. Now, what you're being told to do, the wisdom of the divine that's coming through, trust it. I've got to tell you, Leo, I've been having dreams like you wouldn't believe, wrestling all night long with new information, new wisdom that just keeps coming in. And I'm just like, bring it on, universe. I'm loving this psychic downloads that are happening for me, being a Pisces person who's just had an eclipse in her first house. Psychic downloads in my dreams. Now, for you Leo people, it might just be coming from all sorts of areas. It could be that your neighbor makes a comment, or you have a chat with your brother or your sister about a certain topic, and boof, in comes all this download of information from the divine. So definitely trust your hunches, trust the information that comes through now. There might be some good news. This is the house of news. So for our Leo people, you might be getting some good news now. You opened up the mail and you've won Tats Lotto, or you've won a house on the Gold Coast or something. I hope that's the case for we Leos. If we could all win a house on the Gold Coast, it would be wonderful. But there's likely to be some sort of good news, a good message, a good email, a thumbs up that you can receive as a part of this eclipse. It's really a turning point that can arrive with, as I said before, a small business idea, a skill or a talent, and you might get some good news about that. Let's say you're wanting to establish your own yoga class and you had to put in an application to council to use a local hall or a local venue, council-owned venue. You might get the news that, yeah, thumbs up, you can use that, and you can use it for less than you thought you'd have to pay. So a turning point arrives with a skill you've got, yoga talent, or a business idea. You're going to develop a yoga school. That's an example. Can be anything. You might get some good news regarding that skill, that talent, that business idea that you're wanting to utilize. So I'm excited for Leo people. This could mean a lot of wonderful new opportunities and taking of life in a whole new direction, particularly pertaining to how you make money through your own talents and your own abilities. And I do know that most Leo people like to do it on their terms, in their own way. Leo people tend to be incredibly creative, and they will often want to utilize their creative skills for making money on their terms. So we often see Leo people they mightn't have planets in the third house, but we do often see Leo people wanting to run their own businesses and do careers on their terms. So for Leo people, this is a positive energy to be happening in the third house. It's going to help you move forward with your creative approach and open up the space for you to have more success career-wise. Now, Leo, I am going to talk all about this energy in much greater depth than what you've heard here. There's so much more to go into, and it's really powerful and wonderful. You can get the whole report for your sign at the Patreon family. All you need to do is go to the link in the description below. And for Patreon family members who are already watching this, we're going to go deeper right now. Alrighty, now to my lovely Cancer friends, Cancer rising, Cancer sun, Cancer moon. We are looking at the energy of the eclipse that is playing out through your fourth house, Cancer. This is where change might be coming for you. And this is happening on either the 2nd or the 3rd of October, depending where you are in the world. And the effects of this eclipse can play out over the next 6 months, but you're very likely to experience something of a notable nature within the next 3 weeks. Okay, changes in the family is what might be unfolding here. In your family, domestic environment, but also your ancestry, your heritage, your lineage. For many Cancer people, this can be that there might be some breaking of boundaries regarding a family situation. Maybe you felt limitation with a family property, or maybe limitations with family expectations, and it was frustrating you. Remember, this is an energy squared by Mars, where there's an energy of frustration or anger or irritation or impatience. And maybe that is what is going to be broken through now. You've been waiting patiently and getting frustrated deep down, and boof, this energy, you might find can cause shifts within domestic environment or with the family, where you're breaking the limitations that might have been present up until this point of this eclipse. Now, do be careful, because the square from Mars might mean that you might get a bit aggressive with your family, or reckless with your family, or a mother figure, or the maternal lineage. You might be frustrated with those things. But equally, on the flip side, you might be very defensive of your family, defensive of your mother, defensive of the maternal lineage. These are Mars energies in a square aspect to the eclipse that you need to be careful of. So yes, sudden changes can happen with family and domestic life, but also you might be a bit irritated with them as well. There can be some worries and fears about family, about connections to mother and parent. This is a parenting axis, so there might be some worries and fears for mum and dad. Check in with mum and dad, make sure mum and dad are doing okay. Spend some time with mum and dad over the next 6 months to a year, where and when you can, with this energy here. Because this is an energy, and I spoke about this in the introduction, where something is ending. There's some separating, there's some parting, there's even potentially some loss. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to lose a parent, but it will be very important for you to connect with parents, because something is changing with parents here. Something might be changing with a mother figure as well. Something might be changing with the family home. Something might be shifting with the family energy for Cancer people. So, there might be the loss of a family home. Maybe mum and dad decide to retire, or like my family has experienced this year, my parents sold their family farm that they'd had for 50 years, and they moved into town. My father retired off the farm. So it could be something like this, a change in the family home that happens. Something ends, and it was very sad, my home is gone now. The farm that I knew and loved is not there for myself or my children to enjoy anymore. So this is the kind of energy that might happen. Maybe, mum and dad retire, you lose access to the family farm or the family home that you've always known. So this is what I mean by changes in the family. There's an ending. Doesn't necessarily mean the loss of a parent, but it means a change in the dynamic that you've had in the family, maybe with parents as well. It's a very psychic placement to have an eclipse in the fourth house. You can find that your emotional antenna is really turned right up. The dial's turned like Marty McFly to overload. It makes you more intuitive. It makes you more sensitive. And I encourage you to trust your intuition, especially any intuitive feelings you're getting about family and about parents as a result of this eclipse as well. Now, this could indicate for Cancer people that there's some sort of turning point, new page, a new chapter about to unfold with a garden, with a home, with a domestic situation. I talked about this a moment ago, but this is about where you live. And so some of you might be undergoing some renovations. Some of you might be, extending a home. Some of you might be moving home, looking for a new place of living, changing where you live, completely. This eclipse can really turn around 180 degrees. So, you might have been living in the country, you might end up living by the coast with this sort of energy unfolding. Really, it's about breaking boundaries. Maybe let's say you lived in outback Australia and you're like, I love it out here, but I think I need to move to the city for a better job, but I just can't get one, and I feel like there's a boundary blocking me. Boom, in comes the eclipse, and lo and behold, you get that greater paying job, that opportunity career-wise that breaks that boundary of where you have to reside, and you move to the city, for example, or vice versa. Maybe you want to move to the country and there's just been no opportunity for you to do so, and now boof, that boundary is broken, you can move to the country. So we're talking about invigorated new direction in life, new chapter started regarding place of living. And look, it could be, not everyone's going to experience such overwhelming change that I've just described there, but it could be for Cancer people that you start a whole new phase with a garden. Maybe your whole backyard has been full of roses and daffodils and all sorts of lovely pretty things, but you decide, I want to be more self-sufficient. I want to be more secure and stable and know where my food's coming from and how it's being prepared and that it's organic and everything like that. So I'm going to turn my whole beautiful backyard full of flowers into full of fruit and veg. And so you have a turning point with your garden. Could look like that. Some sort of experience of the home. Maybe you've had, like we have in our house, 5 adults living in a reasonably average Australian house, and it's getting a little bit much. Here comes the eclipse in the 4th house for Cancer people, and you might find that the domestic situation changes, your home changes, and you put on an extension with a big living room and a whole master bedroom wing, and suddenly you've got so much space. Wouldn't that be nice? So Cancer, there can be shifts of energy regarding home, not just moving home and where you live, but how you're living as well. So emotions, family, home, this is where a lot of the themes lie for change and shifts of energy that are coming for our Cancer rising sun or moon people. Now, this said, there's so much more to say about this particular energy and how it's playing out in this very important house of the horoscope. If you want the full details for your sign, you can get the entire report at the Patreon family, links in the description below. And Patreon family members, if you're watching this now, we're going to go deeper. Alrighty, thank you Cancer. Gemini rising, Gemini sun and Gemini moon people puts the energy of this eclipse in your 5th house, a very auspicious house to be having an eclipse. What does it mean for our Gemini friends? Well, this eclipse is playing out over the next 6 months, but you're likely to experience something quite notable within 3 weeks. And it's occurring on the 2nd to the 3rd of October, depending where you are in the world. 5th house means that there might be a change in dynamic with a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a live-in lover. Sometimes, Gemini, it can mean if the relationship has been a bit of walking on eggshells and a bit unhappy, it might end, because this is very much an eclipse cycle of something ending, separating, parting and loss. But keep in mind, if that happens, it is designed to take you into your destiny, into a whole new life direction that's better for you and more aligned with your purpose. This is likely also to happen because somebody new might come in on the scene, either in your life or their life, and so the relationship ends. And if that is the case, then that relationship obviously was not part of your destiny and purpose, and there's a better thing awaiting you. Now, that's not going to happen for everyone, but for some Geminis, you might notice that that is the case. There might also be a whole new opportunity that you have, Gemini, to showcase your natural creativity coming as a result of this eclipse. Somebody might ask you to participate in an art show. Somebody might give you the lead role in a theatre production. Somebody might ask you to be in their short film or something. There could be some new creative opportunity, 5th house, that you get invited to participate in, and it could really give you a chance to showcase your talents as well. This is an energy that can actually be very ambitious, and you might get given the lead role in the local theatre production, and at the end of the theatre show in 6 months' time, you're like, my God, that was one of the best experiences of my life. You know what? I want to really put some ambition into maybe becoming a professional theatre person, if that opportunity is available to you. And this is an ambitious energy because of the square from Mars and because of the conjunction with Vinder Matrix. The ambitions that you direct as a result of this eclipse can actually be very rewarding for you. Now, I do want to just mention, though, on this, this is an energy, and I spoke about this in the introduction, that where your impulsiveness can lead to embarrassment. But in this case, it's happening in the house of children. And we all know kids can be they can act on impulse. And, I remember when I was a kid doing and saying things that I regretted later and I felt so embarrassed about. If you are a parent with a child, do be conscious that your children might be where this energy is expressing, and they might do or say something that they then, feel terribly embarrassed about or shamed about or something like that. So be there for your children with loving kindness to help them through that particular season of life. So it's more likely to be expressing, Gemini, in the lives of your children, those difficult energies of the eclipse, than I would say you. You might also find that children are being a bit reckless and aggressive and reactive now, and it's really hard, isn't it, as a parent, when kids sort of answer you back, or they're defensive, or they're frustrated or angry, and you just want to help them sort out whatever the problem is, but they don't want to let you, So just patience, which is a Libran energy, patience, my Gemini friends, just one foot in front of the other in dealing with children and helping them to navigate the difficulties of life as a result of this eclipse. Now, an eclipse in the fifth house, doesn't matter what kind of eclipse it is, it can actually bring luck to a person, because this is the house of not rewards and gains. It's a house of luck. It's a house of winnings. And so some of you might find that there's something comes your way, some opportunity opens up for you. You enter that art show and you get the grand prize because your painting's the best or something. There can be some lucky opportunity, some lucky break that comes your way. So wonderful energy for Gemini people. You're very, very blessed. This is an energy of masculinity as well, the solar eclipse, sun energy. So you might find that a man might be very influential and pave the way for you to have a rise in your recognition, in your celebrity, in your popularity. That can also happen as a result of this eclipse. This is a house of recognition and success in terms of your identity and being set apart in some way. You might really you might have some worries and fears around that sort of thing. So yes, there could be a man that helps you rise into recognition, Gemini, but you might also be a bit worried and a bit fearful about failure. So you get the chance to be the lead in the local town production of Beauty and the Beast or whatever, but your level of worry as a result of this eclipse could be just off the Richter scale, and can't sleep at night because you're so worried about failing and embarrassing yourself. This is an energy conjunct Vinder Matrix, which gives that effect. So, forewarned, forearmed about that. Have some resources at your beck and call for how you'll handle any sort of mental monkey mind in that regard. This is, like I said, though, it could be very good for a rise in popularity, even if worry accompanies it and fears accompany it. Can you pull this off? Can you achieve the success that you want? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. This is also a house of romance. So for some Gemini people, you might find that there's a romantic gesture that comes out of the blue that surprises you. You might find that there's somebody in your life wearing their heart on their sleeve about you. How lovely. I've used this analogy many, many times, and I'll use it again. We used to have an ad in Australia for a deodorant brand called Impulse, and I'm sure it was in America too, where some random dude just runs up to a pretty girl on the street with a bunch of flowers. And the tagline was, if some stranger gives you flowers, that's impulse, because you're wearing this beautiful scented deodorant. Well, that could happen for you, Gemini. There could be just, some spontaneous, surprising meeting that is very romantic, and the butterflies in the tummy and the fireworks are, going off in your life. It could be quite exciting. So yes, there might be that ending and separating and that kind of thing that we talked about. But yes, there can also be a new beginning, because this is a new moon energy, new starts, new phases in life that are coming in the area of romance for you. But there is a south node present, which means something ends in order for something else to begin with this combination. So, yeah, that's what I'm feeling into for my Gemini friends. But you know what? One last thing. This can be a time when you might really reinvent your career or change your career. Why? Because the 5th house is the 8th house from the 10th. And this eclipse of, sudden big turns around in life and changes can actually be affecting your career. You won't often hear many people talking about that, but it is a Bhavat Bhavam influence. So for some of you Gemini people, a complete redirectioning, or like I said, a renovation or a reversal of career energy, big change that could come your way in career as a result of the eclipse. Now, if you want to know more about this eclipse energy, and there's so much more to tell, I can't wait to dive right in, then you can get the entire report for your particular sign, Gemini, at the Patreon family. The link to the Patreon family is in the description below. And for Patreon family members who are already watching, well, it's time to dive deeper. Thank you, Gemini. All right, Taurus. Taurus rising, Taurus sun, Taurus moon people. Well, the eclipse is happening in your 6th house. And this is happening, you'll feel the effects in your 6th house over the next 6 months, but more likely to experience something notable within 3 weeks from the eclipse, which is occurring on the 2nd to the 3rd of October, depending where you are in the world. So this is an energy where I think you're going to feel very sensitized, Taurus, to the pain of other people, to the struggles of other people. It might make you angry. It might make you frustrated when you see people struggling with debt, struggling with finances, because financial matters become very important in this house. So you are going to be sensitized to the struggles of other people. And you yourself might be very concerned or worried or fearful about your own financial position. And it might frustrate you and it might irritate you in some way as well. There is a square from Mars coming here. So financial situations, but particularly debt, mortgages, things like that, where we're out of pocket and we're struggling to make ends meet month after month, week after week, can be an issue that comes up with this eclipse. It can cause those sorts of things where there's a difficulty, a problem financially to be solved, can be a source of irritation and maybe even a source of aggressiveness that comes out in you. Maybe a source of defensiveness. So it might be over somebody else and their financial situation, or it could be over your own financial situation. Just keep in mind, I need to let you know, Taurus, that impulsiveness about such things can lead to embarrassment. Like if you impulsively decide you're going to take somebody to court, this is one of the houses of legal action. If you decide on impulse, that's it, I'm taking them to court, you may lose and end up being, having the smile wiped off your face kind of thing. So be careful about any impulsive actions pertaining to 6th house things like debt and causing other people debt, or criminal activities, conflict, creating arguments, creating aggression, legal matters. Really, what we really want to focus on, Taurus, is bringing things back into balance. Libran energy. Now, the South Node is in Libra, so sometimes that Libran energy can be a bit lacking when the South Node moves through it. But we really want harmony, balance, and peace with other people where possible. So keep that at the forefront of your mind. Avoid sort of going into conflict, taking people to court, getting aggressive with people who owe you money, or, that sort of thing. And you will do so much better. But it's a hard thing to do when the energy is perhaps pulling you in the other direction, Taurus. Confrontational situations can arise during this eclipse period, and this is, like I said, possibly a result of the frustrations that you're feeling emotionally. It's a good thing to protect your energy and emotion right now. Have a plan to do so. When you are, worrying too much, when you're fearing, failure or embarrassment or financial ruin or something like that, what are you going to do to help your mind through that process? Maybe go for a walk in nature or take a swim if the weather's fine. Maybe eat something healthy or watch a great movie. Whatever it is, have a plan. Forewarned, forearmed gets us through so many difficult life situations, my beautiful Taurus friends. Now, in the positive, this is an energy for breaking boundaries. We want to break boundaries, and we're willing to put the hard work in to do so, and we can be rewarded for endurance and perseverance. Now, so what might this look like? It might mean winning over a health issue, breaking some obstacle you've had with, some issue with your kidneys, for example. Libra rules the kidneys, and you drink more water, and you heal your kidneys from some problem you might have had or something. Just one example, could be any kind of health issue. You might sort of win over a court issue that's been ongoing, that was instigated and established before the eclipse energy began. If that's the case, it could lead to some sort of success in a court case. It's when you instigate it under the eclipse that the trouble can arise, okay? That it could lead to embarrassment. But if you have been part of a court case that's been happening for a while, the results could be positive with this eclipse. You could break through, have a real sense of, moving through a difficult court issue. You might have been having some conflicts with a difficult person you've been battling with. This could be a turning point now, a whole new start, a freedom from that kind of energy. But I feel if that's the case, it's going to come with some hard work and perseverance that will end up being rewarding, okay? Now, there could be a change in circumstances in your life with a pet, or an animal that's important in your family. So maybe you've had a pet who's been sick or something like that. There could be a change now that happens, something new happens. But I just want to, on that topic, say that this, in the Saros cycle, this is an energy, this Saros cycle of endings, separatings, partings, and loss. If you've got a pet or a family animal that is has been suffering with illness, and sick, then this Saros cycle might spell the end of the line. But look, this loss, even though it could be sad if this happens, it is going to help you, to heal, to know that the animal is out of pain, and or maybe they were really old and it was their time. Keeping a realistic feet on the ground kind of approach to these things is actually very important. Now, if you've got a pet and your pet's a bundle of energy, nothing's wrong with it, it's, full of life and vigor, then this is not something to worry about, okay? I'm only talking about if you're dealing with a difficult circumstance with a pet, that the ending is possible. Now, that said, I feel that for many of you Taurus people, you're about to take a turn for the better with your life, to redirection your life with a new creative approach, because space is opening up now for you to move ahead with a problem, with a difficult situation, with a health issue, with your diet, with your exercise plan. So this has probably been uncomfortable for you, maybe for a couple of weeks, but now you've figured out the answers, the solutions, the way forward, and now the road opens up. You can deal with that debt. You can overcome it. The road opens up. Your health issue is something that you can overcome, and you're going to work hard to overcome it. See what I'm saying? There's solutions available here, and change is on the doorstep for the better. You're going to achieve more of a balance between your body and spirit now. Yes, it's a house of hard work, and you can put the hard work in, but you've got what it takes to do so. Really can make some changes. Also, can I just suggest as well, this is the house of the digestive system, and forgiveness. Venus rules forgiveness. Venus is the ruler of this eclipse. Forgiveness, letting things go, letting things end. This is so helpful for digestive issues, but it's also very helpful in that it can clear karmic debt. Forgiving things that have gone on before, or problems that have been present. I love this energy. This is a house of service as well. You might get new opportunities to serve, to help, to heal, and to fix the lives of other people. What a noble thing. If you can move into that energy with this eclipse, the blessing is likely to abound for you. You will clear your karma, you will set the ledger straight, and you will move into a much higher vibrational state of being. But believe me, that's a far better place to be than to be someone who's always stirring up conflict, causing trouble in life. Now, there is so much more I want to talk about for you, Taurus, and it's really very interesting. But to get that full report, you need to join the Patreon family, and the link is in the description below. So for Patreon members who are already watching this, we're going to go to the full report for you right now. Alrighty, thank you, Taurus. Okay, moving to Aries. Aries rising, Aries sun, Aries moon. We have got the eclipse playing out in your 7th house, Aries. Hello. This is going to be effective for the next 6 months, but you are likely to experience something notable within only 3 weeks. And this is happening, the eclipse is happening on the 2nd or 3rd of October, depending where you are in the world. I talked about that in the introduction. Now, this is the relationship axis, and I did talk about this for Libran energies who are having it in their 1st house. If you are in a relationship where the relationship has been working well, then you might see a shift in a dynamic that takes the relationship up to the next level, more into the positive. You sort out your problems, you break through relationship boundaries, and you work hard on your relationship, and the difficulties that you might have had in your relationship, in the background, they're ending now, and you can invigorate your relationship and take it in a whole new direction. That's a positive for many Aries people. Relationships that have not been working so well, relationships that have been strained, that are full of this Mars square activity, relationships that have been aggressive or defensive or frustrated or angry relationships where finances have been a source of friction, they might break apart under this eclipse energy and conclude. Now, if that happens, it's probably not going to be a surprise to you. You've probably been walking on eggshells for ages, and you've got a question, well, is this relationship, has it really been the one for you? This is a relational turning point for Aries people. And what is going to happen now is that whatever is ending, separating, parting, this loss is going to help you move more into your soul's purpose for incarnating, your soul's destiny. So in that sense, it's actually really exciting. It's going to invigorate you to take your life in a whole new direction with love, with relationships, with partnering. Now, I've talked about romantic partnering, but what about business partnering? Same deal. If you're looking to hire an advertiser or an accountant, if you're looking to collaborate with somebody and set up a whole new business, this is very applicable to you. Let's say you're some sort of a healer, and you've been, maybe you're, Reiki healer, and you've been working, with a past life regressionist, and you're working out of a clinic together or something like that. And lo and behold, you haven't been getting along. There's been a lot of friction between you. There's a bit of financial argy-bargy going on. The relationship between the two of you might come to an end. If the relationship between the two of you has been really amiable and the business has been going well, you might be like, let's take this dynamic of partnering and connection to the next level. Why don't we invite in an astrologer to come and work with us as well? And then we can have a real holistic healing office. So you take things to the next level regarding a relationship if it's been going well. So there's a couple of ways this can break out, express, and it doesn't have to be to do with a marriage. I always get asked whenever I talk about 7th house, oh, I'm single, I'm not married, this doesn't apply to me. Rubbish. If you're in a business partnership or a collaboration, if you have a client, if you have an audience, if you are working for a hierarchical organization and you're collaborating with somebody else on a project, then this energy pertains to you. It will work and go to the next level if the relationship is healthy. It will collapse and fall apart if the relationship sucks. Any of those dynamics is how this can play out. Now, because this is the house of other people, be careful, Aries. You could be too reckless, too aggressive, too reactive, too angry, too frustrated, too protective and defensive with other people now. Or it can go the other way, and you might find that everyone you encounter, your clients, your audience, everybody is that way with you. And, it's just the energy of the eclipse. So be aware of that. That's that Mars square. Mars rules you. So it is possible that it's going to be coming from you to other people, and that can be a bit nasty. I can't wait to see all the comments in my in my feed for this video. I'm sure we're going to get it all laid on thick. Anyway, What else can be happening? Well, if you're a single person watching this and you're like, well, how's this going to affect my love life? Well, it can bring in somebody new. But I feel it's going to be somebody from your past. When I say new, I mean maybe somebody that you haven't talked to since you went to high school together, and they get back in touch with you and they're like, want to go out for dinner? We haven't seen each other for 20 years, but I was thinking about you this week. I see on Facebook that you're single, perhaps you might like to go out for dinner. So somebody from the past comes back because South Node is our past here in the 7th house. So sometimes South Node in the 7th house indicates like the energy of connection and partnership just being lost from us, excreted, let go of. But sometimes it can also mean that there's something karmic and something from a long time ago that comes back into our life. So that could happen for some of you Aries people. Another way this that might express is this is a house, particularly in the sign of Libra, that talks about court cases and outcomes of court cases or dealings with lawyers and negotiations with lawyers. This can indicate that there is some kind of maybe a court case that comes back from the past that needs to be finalized and needs to be laid to rest under this energy. It could be a court case that gets a bit het up, a bit bit worrisome, and certainly conjunct with the fixed star Vinder Matrix, you might have a lot of worries and fears about losing a court case or having some sense of failure with this, my Aries friends. But I just want to reassure you that through your own dedication and hard work and endurance, you can overcome that. Don't ignore the worry, allow the worry to be there, but know that worry doesn't change anything. It's your actions, as I'm sure you're aware, Aries, that will cause a difference. So take action, keep working hard, keep putting one foot in front of the other, and you can get there and overcome any issues. Okay, so Aries, I've got so much more to tell you about this particular combination, but for the full details for your sign, you need to go to the Patreon family. The link's in the description below. And for my Patreon members who are watching this, let's dive in and find out what is happening for our Aries friends. Thank you, Aries. All right, Pisces rising, Pisces sun, Pisces moon. Oh, guys, you can tell my voice is starting to go. This is such a big video. We are having the eclipse occur in, the 8th house. And this eclipse is likely to be effective for the next 6 months. But Pisces, we're probably going to experience something quite notable within about 3 weeks. And this eclipse is happening on the 2nd to the 3rd of October, depending where we are in the world, of course. Well, look, I'm going to start out by saying that many of you Pisces are going to have amazing intuitive downloads now. You're already geared that way. I think I've already mentioned I have been having dreams, my God, dreams after dreams after dreams that are, I break up in a sweat, but so much inner knowing, prophetic influences, premonitions, goosebump moments. It's all happening now. I'm feeling into it already. That's what this eclipse is all about in the 8th house, Pisces. This is also an energy where we're seeing a lot of masculine activity. And this means that in the 8th house, there might be a man or a male figure who's some sort of source of healing for you now. Now, that said, I don't think this person is going to come into your life to heal you with that intention. They might come into your life and push your buttons. They might frustrate you. They might cause you, Pisces, to feel a little bit defensive or a bit angry in some way or frustrated, but that is going to bring sort of emotions to the surface that you can work through and come to understand and lay some things to rest with. So that's that Mars energy, and for a Pisces person, Mars is a very important planet anyway, so in that sense it could be quite a blessing that is going on. You're going to free yourself from something and heal yourself from something. This is a healing placement in the 8th house in its best energy. Now, 8th house, it's transformative. It is about the big seasons of change and rebirth and regeneration for you. Oh my God, Pisces, this especially if this is happening on your 8th house cusp, this is a huge eclipse. Like whenever there's an eclipse in the 8th house, it's about life changing in such a remarkable way. It's a massive 180-degree turning point, turning life around, and really it's about breaking boundaries. If you felt restricted in almost any area of life, it's going to break through now, break free now, and change quite considerably. I'd also point out that this is the house of your spouse or business partner's resources and money. And that can be a blessing too, in that it's allowing a breakthrough to happen, perhaps with a spouse's resources. Now, that's not saying that you're not going to be full of worries and fears for your partner and their financial situation, because this eclipse is conjunct the fixed star Vinder Matrix, which is about worries and fears, especially fears of failure. But just know that this is, and I'll talk more about this in the extended breakdown for the Patreon family, but this is a blessed combination, trust me on this, where the change is going to ultimately be positive despite your fears and despite your worries. And I mentioned finances here because financial matters are very important. Look at this. The ruler of the eclipse is Venus, and she is sitting in the 9th house of blessing, 2 houses, 1, 2 away from the eclipse that she rules. So financial matters are going to be very important, and blessing is likely for your partner financially, and that could be part of the turning point that you experience, which could be very good, Pisces. Now, this is an emotionally up and down energy. It is a roller coaster. So you probably may have felt this already. Write it out as best you can, and you're good at this, Pisces. You're good at going with the flow. You're good at trusting the divine and trusting where it's taking you. So let what needs to happen happen. Something is probably ending. You're probably saying goodbye to something. There's going to be some sort of loss, as is the nature of the Saros cycle of this eclipse. In this case, it's got something to do, I feel, with your partner's resources, or maybe it might have to do with an inheritance that's changing, or for you, that is, not necessarily the partner. This is not partner's inheritances. This is partner's actual resources. There might be some change, some loss regarding either of those things, but it's going to create some space for you to move in a whole new direction. Maybe you thought you were going to inherit, big wads of cash or something from a grandmother or something like that. And there's a complete redirection, and grandma changes her will and says, no, you're going to inherit my house, not my money. And so, a complete change, a dynamic could be, I'm not saying you're going to lose an inheritance, but there's a change to an inheritance, for example. With partners' resources, they may have been budgeting on a certain amount of money in their life, and something happens and that changes completely and goes in a whole new direction. Maybe they get a pay rise as a result of this eclipse, or maybe they start a side hustle that starts to earn them more money or something. But change is an imperative. Change is unavoidable when it comes to the resources of a partner here. What else is the 8th house about? Yes, it's a very up and down emotionally. So you're going to have to ride this out. But this is also a house of the occult, and you might be encountering particularly men who are very invested in the occult, or interested in shamanism, or interested in occult practices, and they could really change your life in some way. They might introduce you to concepts you never knew before, shamanic wisdom that you didn't even know existed. They might be, opening your eyes to maybe past life energies or vibrational understanding that you have never encountered before. So Pisces, there could be a lot of opening of your eyes, opening of the mind that comes in with this particular energy as well. This is the house of the experts that we hire in life, and I think if you need to hire an expert in any area, that there could be some really big changes that come into your life through an expert in something, through somebody who has a lot of prowess in a certain field. So my friends, it is a house of fast changes. Whatever changes come in, it's going to be like in the blink of an eye. Big shifts that happen like in an instant. payouts, windfalls, physical support, emotional support, moral support from others that you weren't expecting, that's there all of a sudden. Very magical energy, very big. Now, the only thing to be aware of with this position is that there could be fast changes that are shocking, that leave your head spinning, that leave you, scratching, your head and going, what on earth just occurred? Sometimes we see catastrophes, tragedies, accidents and breakdowns, spouses leaving, divorce, that kind of thing. And Mars's energy making a square here is not the easiest, but there are other factors in this combination. Like I said, the ruler of the eclipse being in the blessed ninth house is one of them, but there are other factors playing out that are energies of blessing that I think are going to mitigate all these difficulties that I've just listed. So if you want to find out about those things, then join me now at the Patreon family, where I go into greater detail with what this is all about, Pisces. The link's in the description below. And now, for those of you, my Patreons who are watching this, let's dive into what this is all about. Thank you, Pisces. All right, Aquarius rising, Aquarius sun, Aquarius moon, people. Let's hold you still there, Aquarius. We are having an eclipse at in your ninth house, the most blessed house actually, and this eclipse is likely to be active for the next 6 months, but you will be likely to experience something notable within only 3 weeks. So do keep your eyes peeled. The eclipse is occurring on the 2nd or the 3rd of October, and this is a solar eclipse, a new moon eclipse. So the ninth house energy means that this is going to be an eclipse that brings a significant turning point into your life regarding maybe some outdated belief system that you've been carrying. It's time to broaden your horizons, Aquarius. It's time to generate a new moral outlook on life, some new ethics, a new philosophy to apply to your life. And this is likely to come because of the nature of this eclipse with maybe some interaction with a very frustrating situation or an angry situation. Maybe, you encounter somebody who's a bit head up, a bit aggressive, a bit reactive, a bit reckless, for example, and it causes you to rethink perspectives on things because that's just the nature of the eclipse. So out of a difficult experience or a difficult energy, you start to realign your perspective in life that's going to stay with you now for the long term. It could be that this is the ninth house, and the ninth house is a house connected to luck and prosperity. And this eclipse is all about financial matters being somewhat important. So you might find that there is some sort of, for you Aquarius people, there could be some lucky break financially that helps you sort out problems. It could be some internationally based financial situation as well, being in the ninth house. So that there might be some sort of new beginning with another culture financially now as a result of this eclipse. Maybe you're doing some buying and selling internationally or trading on an international level. You might be having a lot of clients from overseas or something like that that are generating more money for you. So certainly financial matters connected to foreign affairs and faraway places can bring a lot of blessing as a result of this eclipse. But I want to just say that worries and fears are connected to this eclipse because it's in conjunction with the fixed star Vinder Matrix. So yes, the opportunity is there, but your head might be in worry mode. And so have some strategies up your sleeve, Aquarius, to deal with when you get a bit lost down the rabbit hole with worries and fears and fear of failure especially. There could be, like I said, some new beginnings with some sort of cultural situation. There might be, sort of breaking through some sort of boundary with regard to a visa application or some sort of international documents that need to be organized. You might have felt a blockage there and frustration and having to wait and all that kind of thing. Well, this eclipse can bring a breakthrough and change everything, so that can be positive. You might even come across somebody, a benefactor, a guru type person, a father figure, an inspirational figure in your life who can really be a blessing for you going forward into the year ahead. The solar eclipse energy has a masculine quality to it, so it's likely to be a man who might change your perspective on life, who might be a source of help for you, that might sort of lift you up in some way and help you along along the road of life. So that can be very positive, of course, as well. There is also in this house, the ninth house, a heightened connection to spirit. So there might be a heightened level of intuition that you experience as a result of this eclipse. So trust your hunches. I'm not saying be reckless. I'm not saying be impulsive. I spoke about this in the introduction. It can actually, pardon me, it can lead to an embarrassing situation if you just bowl on in without thinking. But if you listen to that still small voice within you, you might find that you are guided in the right direction. Spirit is coming through clearly when we have an eclipse in the ninth house, as long as we know how to listen and trust our higher self. Now, this eclipse is an energy where something is ending according to the Saros cycle. We're having some separating, some parting, an energy of loss. So for some Aquarius people, maybe you were planning on traveling overseas, or maybe starting some international venture. Maybe you were planning on going to university and it maybe doesn't come off, maybe doesn't go ahead. Maybe you were planning on, having your second child. This is the, it's not the second child, it's the third child. Maybe you're planning on having a third child or something and it doesn't quite happen. Aquarius, this is an energy, the eclipse falling in the ninth house, where on the Saros cycle, something is not moving ahead the way we wanted it to regarding those things I've just mentioned. And so we must remember, and I spoke about this in the introduction, we must remember that eclipses are designed to move us into our destiny, to keep us on track with our soul's reason for incarnating. And it's about trusting the divine. If something doesn't manifest, if it doesn't come off, know that it's going that way because life wants to take us in a new direction. And certainly a solar eclipse coming after the lunar eclipse in this case is about taking life in a whole new direction with more creativity and allowing the space to open up in a whole new direction. Maybe you thought you were going to go for a trip to Venezuela and there was something important that you wanted to do there and you had all your documents in place, but then the airline cancelled all the flights for some reason or another and there's no trip to Venezuela and you're like, what am I going to do? Instead, the airline said, we'll pay for you to have a flight, to Vietnam. And so you're like, what am I going to do in Vietnam? Why would I want to go to Vietnam? What? But you go with the flow, you trust the new direction that's opening up, jump on a flight to Vietnam, lo and behold, it changes your whole life for the better. So I'm using this as with international travel as a silly, crazy example, but something will be ending, there might be some loss, but it's going to push you into a new direction that's actually what the soul wants for you. So trusting is key. Not always easy to do, to let go and let God, but it is very, very important. Now, this is also a house and an energy where we might suddenly fall in love with somebody from a different culture. That said, if that should happen, it's likely to be somebody from the past, maybe somebody you met when you traveled 20 years ago, and they get back in touch with you, and maybe something comes of that. This is a house of higher love, ninth house, fifth house from the fifth. So it might be somebody you knew long ago in another country or somebody from a different culture that gets back in touch and could lead to a romantic tete-a-tete. Sounds fun. One thing that this can do is allow you to find your truth, your freedom, and your liberation, Aquarius. So again, trusting the divine, that the path will open up for you to be more in your dharma and to be more on your purpose and mission. Believing that, knowing that no matter what unfolds, it's taking you where you need to go. Quite key. So, my friends, that's what I want to share for the YouTube family, but for Patreon members, there's so much more and it's really good. So you can get the entire report at the Patreon family. The link is in the description below. And for my Patreon members who are watching, let's dive deeper. All right, moving on. Thank you, Aquarius, Capricorn rising, sun and moon people. The energy of this eclipse is forming in your 10th house. This is a very powerful place. And this eclipse, this solar eclipse, is going to be effective for the next 6 months, but most likely you'll experience something notable within only 3 weeks. Now, this is occurring The eclipse is happening on the 2nd to the 3rd of October, depending where you are in the world, and it's happening, as I said, in the 10th house. So this is the axis of parents, Capricorn. So this can indicate that there might be some kind of significant change happening in the lives of one of your parents or both of your parents, but particularly Capricorn for a father figure. So something is changing and shifting in the life potentially of your father. There might also be a turning point in the life of your mother-in-law as well with this placement. So if you have a mother-in-law, check in, make sure she's doing okay. If not, check in, and if you have one as well, check in with your father too to make sure that they're doing okay as a result of this eclipse, because there is a heavy energy from Mars in the 7th house. So it could be that, your mother-in-law is being quite argumentative and quite full of bluster and defense and frustration and anger, and you're copying it, okay? So forewarned, forearmed, Capricorn. But also your father might be feeling a bit protective and defensive as well, maybe protective of you. That can be a positive thing, Capricorn. But, this is Mars' hard aspect, so your father might be feeling a bit regressive or a bit reactive to something that you say as well. Financial matters also become important for a father figure or a boss as well. You might find that your boss is very worried about the financial situation that he's in under this energy. There might be a lot of fears of failure, fears of embarrassment that your boss is experiencing. Similarly, your father might have these sorts of fears as well. Just know this is the house of bosses, and I just want to say, observe your boss very closely under this eclipse energy, because any impulsive behavior by a boss could ultimately lead to their embarrassment and their downfall. So, if you care about your boss, step in and help them out. If not, watch them, fall flat on their face. It's up to you if you want, Capricorn. But this is the house of career. And this is an energy, this eclipse, about wanting to break boundaries in career. And because of that Mars square, you're going to be very ambitious. And because of the conjunction with Vinder Matrix, you can be very hardworking. That leads to rewards. But it's not going to happen instantly. This is an Upachaya house. So any breakthrough of barriers, any achievement of your ambitions is going to happen slowly and over time, over the next year as this eclipse plays out. So there might be an incident that occurs in the next 3 weeks, but the beneficial repercussions to you might tend to go a bit slower and come in a bit more ploddingly. It's not a fast energy. But look, this is a combination that can indicate that a significant man, boss, authority figure has the capacity under this eclipse to maybe catapult you into some sort of greater worldly success or recognition as well. It could generate a new leadership position for you, Capricorn. But because of the nature of the Saros cycle, it might also indicate that there is a loss associated with something is ending, maybe career-wise for you. Remember, I spoke about the Saros cycle. Something is ending, separating, parting. And it might be a parting from you and your career as you move into a different field or take a different road potentially. So that can happen as well. But it might open up a field for a new leadership position. It might open up an opportunity for you in a different realm of life. And you can often, when you have an eclipse in the 10th house, discover the career of your dreams. Discover your true meaning and purpose career-wise in life. So it's a real turning point, a changing of the way. Something is ending in order to create space for the new, and it'll be something new that probably you instigate with a great deal of creativity and insight and a feeling of opening up space, like the world is opening up for you now rather than feeling closed and oppressive. So quite an exciting time career-wise for Capricorn people. I would just say that you might be very sensitive to your public image and your reputation right now. So watch out for gossip, watch out for news about your reputation, watch out for what people are saying around the water cooler at work, and take it all with a grain of salt. Remember I talked about, this can be an energy that leads to embarrassment. If anyone's sort of being a bit underhanded or not being integrous, it can lead to a lot of embarrassment and humiliation in a public level, because this is happening in the house of the public, where all the world can see, sort of thing. sort of thing. So that's what I am feeling into for our Capricorns regarding this eclipse energy. Yes, big changes on the horizon, change in your life career-wise, change in the life of a boss or a father figure or a mother-in-law as well. Shifts in how you gain recognition and success too. And there's so much more to tell you about this, my beautiful Capricorn friends. For full details of your sign, you can get the entire report at the Patreon family. Links in the description below. And for my Patreon family members who are watching, let's go deeper. Thank you, Capricorn. All right, Sagittarius, rising, sun, moon people. We're getting there. Thank you, Sagittarius. Now, this eclipse is falling in your 11th house, okay? And look, it might play out and be effective over the next 6 months, but more likely than not, you'll experience something quite notable within the next 3 weeks. Now, this eclipse is happening on the 2nd or the 3rd of October, depending where you are in the world. And what does it mean for Sagittarius? Well, there's likely to be some sort of shift or change in dynamic happening with your friends. Some of your friends, some of your network might be leaving your life now. But don't fret. If this happens, it's designed to create energetic space for new networks and new friendships, to be formed. So friends might be being a little bit Mars-like. We've got this square from Mars happening. Your friends might be being defensive, protective, frustrated, angry. They might be a bit reckless and aggressive. And you might be like, enough already, had enough of this from my friends. So this is Saros cycle of this eclipse is about something ending, separating, parting. And because of this behavior from your friends, you might be like, no. I'm done with this. I want something new. So goodbye to the old network. Goodbye to the old friendship. Now, I'm not saying throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's sad when friendships end, of course, but it's going to be healthier for you to move in a different direction. You'll know what I'm talking about. And of course, this doesn't manifest in the same way for everybody. So only for some people, they might be experiencing this. But it is a turning point with regard to some of the goals that you've set yourself, Sagittarius, in the past. You might be throwing them out now and creating a whole new set of ambitions based on some sort of inspirations or intuitive downloads that are coming from this eclipse. In fact, you might have felt like your dreams and goals have had a lot of boundaries and blockages and frustrations. Well, this energy of this eclipse is about breaking those boundaries, pushing through, and you'll push through with great ambition and hard work that will ultimately be rewarded. This is an Upachaya house, meaning over time you get the results, you get the rewards. And so this is about instigating change and hard work and pushing through those boundaries that brings blessing in the long run. So as those new goals, new dreams form, trust that they are where the universe wants to take you. Don't be afraid to leave the old dreams behind, even though it might be sad to see them go. You are going to establish something new. You're going to be invigorated to take life in a whole new direction, using your creativity and opening up space for you to move into a new dream that could much more easily manifest because it's in alignment now. It's in alignment with who you are, your purpose, and your dharma. Now, excuse me, I'm starting to lose my voice. It's been a long video. This is also the house of an older sibling. If you have an older sibling, you might be noticing some sort of change, some sort of differing dynamic. You might be moving away from an older sibling in some way. There might be, Mars energy might be meaning some fights or some argy-bargy going on with an older sibling. Whatever happens is part of the energy that needs to play out. Trust the divine in the process. But I do feel that you will encounter the right people at the right time, probably a man. This is a solar energy after all, who is going to be a benefactor in your life. He's going to help you with your dreams and goals and help generate more gainfulness for you. Because above all, Sagittarius, this is a house of gainfulness. This is a house of blessing. You might already know this person, but during this eclipse, this person's going to prove very financially supportive of you or guide you to make some wise financial decisions as well. So blessing and gainfulness is likely to come from a male person who is having a great bearing on your life. Certainly, this drive and this ambition that you possess is going to lead to more gainfulness for you. Not only new goals, new dreams, new hopes, but an ability to generate more resources for yourself, more money. The 11th house is the house of what we get for what we put out in the world. The second house is what we've got to draw on, the money we've got saved up and stored, the skills and abilities that we have developed that we can lean on. That's second house stuff. The 11th house is about our career and what we get out of our career and what we're, contributing to the world and how much it remunerates us. This eclipse can really, like I said, cause some change in how you're being remunerated, what reward you're getting, what accolades you're getting. There can be some real shifts. Now, the one thing I would suggest to be careful of, Sagittarius, is rushing into some mechanism that you think is going to give you rewards and gains, and that impulsiveness leading to some form of embarrassment. Maybe you put yourself out there online and you say, I'm going to, host this event online. It's a live event or whatever. And, you put it out there with, maybe 2 days to spare. Nobody hears about it and nobody shows up for your event. This impulsiveness without, proper planning and thought can lead to embarrassment. That is actually one of the expressions of the fixed star Vinder Matrix playing out with this eclipse energy, impulsiveness leading to embarrassment. Another way this can express is that there might be some worries and fears about your ability to generate gains that support your life, worries and fears about failing in terms of your goals and your dreams, and those worries and fears from the fixed star Vinder Matrix cause you to have some sleepless nights, but hopefully won't lead to the result of failure. Remember, worries and fears about things, the mental process is just that, a mental process, until you engage in it so much that it becomes reality. So as I spoke about in the introduction, Sagittarius, I talked about how to deal with those worries and fears. Keep that in mind if you're worried and afraid about your dreams failing, if you're worried and afraid about certain friendships falling apart, that sort of thing. Do some mental work to alleviate that, as I said in the introduction. But yes, this energy means a change in dynamic, like I said, with friendships, with rewards, with gains, with remuneration. I have so much more to tell you about this house of profitability, house of gainfulness, house of our contribution to the world. So much to tell you, but I'm really saving it for my Patreon family. If you want the full details, Sagittarius, for your sign, you can get the entire report at the Patreon family. The link's in the description below. And Patreon members who are watching, let's find out more now. Well, here we are, Scorpio. Thank you, Saggy. We are finally at the end of this monster video, looking at the solar eclipse in the sign of Libra. And Scorpio, the solar eclipse is forming in your 12th house. So that's where it's going to be influenced. It'll be effective for the next 6 months, but you are likely to experience something notable within the next 3 weeks. And this eclipse is occurring on the 2nd to the 3rd of October, depending where you are in the world. Well, hang on to your hat, Scorpio. You are probably getting the most profound psychic downloads of all of us, really psychic downloads that could blow your mind, highly prophetic. Don't discount anything that comes to you now in your dreams, in your visions, in your daydreams. There is a message coming from the higher realms, potentially from your ancestors, as well as the angels or the divine realms. Some message that's very, very important to you, some guidance, some, like I'm a not a Scorpio person, but I've just been having so many dreams that are enlightening me. My God, I can only imagine how profound it's going to be for our Scorpio friends. So this can happen. There can also be, this is also likely to be a very big turning point in your life. You are really leaving something behind from the past. Something is ending and you're moving away from it, but it's not necessarily a person. It is more like a habit, a trauma, a belief, a behavior, some psychological wound that you're going to leave behind now. South Node's involved in this eclipse. South Node is causing the ending to happen, as well as the Saros cycle. So really, you're quite blessed, Scorpio, because of this ending energy, leaving behind the past, wrapping up those loose ends, tying up those old things that were bringing you down, old self-sabotaging behaviors. They're gone now. This is an energy for breaking boundaries, really leaving behind the past, and you've got the ability to put in a lot of hard work to move beyond these old traumas and so forth. So it's a very powerful time for a fresh start for Scorpio people, whether consciously or unconsciously, but you can achieve so much more if you work with this consciously. You know, get a hold of some spiritual books, some self-help books if you're into that sort of thing, doing some deep dive into the psyche, why you behave the way you do some very introspective work, maybe some journaling. You might also like to do some therapeutic work. Dance therapy, art therapy, music therapy can be great for really bringing up those old wounds from the past and releasing them and letting them go, like big balloons flying off into the sunset. Let it all go. Big turning point, big changes. Now, there can be some frustration as you deal with this sort of thing. Maybe some old memory from the past comes back and haunts you and makes you angry or defensive. Mars is making a square here after all. It might make you a bit aggressive and reactive because that old chestnut's back in your consciousness again. But keep working through it, keep processing it, keep doing therapy around it. You're going to break through that boundary and let it go and release it. The hard work will pay off regarding that sort of thing. Now, some of you Scorpio people might need to isolate to be able to cope with this energy. The energy is heightened, and it's a good thing for you guys to take some time out, to rest, to sleep, to escape. This is a healthy manner of dealing with this. Not so healthy things are like drinking to excess till you pass out, or gluttonizing yourself on food till you feel like you're going to throw up. Those sorts of addictive sort of tapping out behaviors, they're not healthy. But resting, sleeping, reading fantasy books or going on a holiday, really healthy kind of ways to process things. Some of you, I have to say, in the most blessed way, Scorpio, some of you might be experiencing some miraculous healing. The divine reaches out and touches your life in some way, and you're never the same. For you Scorpio people, the divine is very, very close now, and really putting a finger into your life, turning things around, healing what needs to be healed, transforming what needs to be transformed. This is a very powerful energy, this eclipse, and it's really about taking your life in a whole new direction. For you more than any other sign, it's about ending the old and establishing the new. And you're going to be supported by maybe your ancestors who have passed, the deceased, into moving into a new direction and establishing a new life for yourself. So excited to say, Scorpio. I mean, a lot of the time, I'm highly Uranian, and I'm always looking to start life afresh again and again and again, it seems. This is an energy that's going to enable you to turn over a new leaf and start life afresh and take it in a whole creative new way. I'm excited for you because this is a house of endings. The endings are going to be big, and the redirectioning is going to be profound, Scorpio. Now, for more details about how this is going to play out for you, and believe me, it's very, very interesting, you can get the entire report today at the Patreon family. All you've got to do is go to the link at the description below and join up. And for Patreon family members who are watching this, let's dive in. So, my dear friends, thank you for sticking with me for this monster video. It has been a joy to present this eclipse energy for you. I will be taking a break next week after 3 really hefty videos over the last 3 weeks. But I do hope this eclipse energy is a benefit and a blessing to you all. And I look forward to returning with another Astro Weather Report for you very, very soon.